Welcome to the Power Factor Show.
The bandwidth for this episode of the Power Factor Show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, firearmsradio.tv.
Sponsored by Taylor Freelance, Rainier Ballistics, Hodgdon Powders, and JPL Precision.
Hi, welcome to Power Factor. I'm Larry, and we have visiting this week our show sponsor, Robin Taylor, Taylor Freelance.
Hey, everybody.
So Robin's got a few new production items to show off, and some pre-production items, and some prototype items. What do you want to talk about this week, Robin?
Probably the main thing I want to talk about is our new sight block, which transforms a Glock 22 into a Glock 24.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
$150.
This is pretty cool. I was at a match about a week or two ago with Robin, and I wish you would have got a hold of me before the match so I could shot the thing during the match to try it out. So let's show that off.
We'll fix that.
Yeah, let's.
So the idea was, as many of you know, I've shot Glocks for many years, and now that I'm doing Taylor Freelance full time, I have more opportunities to explore ideas I've had for the past decade or so working for USPSA. For some time back, we've been exploring the idea of bringing back the old pin gun concept. With the old Clark pin guns had a weight mounted out front of the barrel, and they mounted the front sight on that weight. That weight eventually evolved into a true compensator with the front sight mounted on it, and then we went to scopes and we didn't need to put the front sight out there anymore.
Right.
Well, Sandy Strayer essentially brought that concept back with the sight tracker some time ago, where he took a false hybrid compensator,
right,
and mounted his front sight to that, and that became the sight tracker.
Right. So if you guys don't know, the 2011 type design, 1911 type design, SVI, the company SVI, Sandy Strayer, that Robin's talking about, they have a Schumann barrel with a rib that's raised up to the top of the slide and a corresponding notch cut out of the top of the slide like this, and the front sight mounted on the rib of the barrel. Yeah. That barrel was designed, I guess, to be compensated originally, right? Yep. And then they just said, hey, why don't we not drill holes in it? We can attach the front sight to the barrel, and the slide runs like this with the front sight sitting out there. You guys saw that gun when we had Lisa Munson on the show. She's got her limited gun set up like that.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And they did it for Glocks for years when the hybrid compensator first came out. Aerotech did a lot of those, where they had the front sight up front and then a bunch of hybrid holes drilled in the rib.
Right. Same type of rib in the barrel, right?
Yeah. Same rib in the barrel.
And KKM currently makes that.
I think they make a rib in the barrel. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So I decided to do one that was sort of, simpler. I'm going more to even further back to the 80s pin gun style.
Right.
And putting an aluminum shroud onto an extended threaded barrel to create sort of the sight tracker effect, shall we call it, but on a Glock.
Yeah. Right.
So we'll show you one of those. This is the current production model, taking the slide that I literally started shooting IPSC with 20 some odd years ago, and adding...
And this is a Glock 22 slide.
Yep.
Right.
A Glock 22 slide with a Glock 35 Lone Wolf barrel, threaded Lone Wolf barrel,
right,
and then an aluminum shroud on the end of it, which holds my front sight. Now, I'll get it in here to the camera where you can see it. Hopefully it'll focus for us. As you can see, we've now added, at least two fingers worth of sight radius.
About an inch and a half.
About an inch and a half to the sight radius. We've made our barrel's gone from 4.5, whatever it is,
about 4.5.
4.5 for the base model Glock, to 5.88 actual barrel, and an effective sight radius equal to that of Glock 24. So that.
So if you guys don't know what the Glock 24 is, a lot of people, I had a Glock 24 for a while, and the intro to our show is me shooting the Glock 24, but the Glock 24 was a full 6-inch barrel, or 6.02 or something, like that, whatever. But basically a full 6-inch barrel, the longest sight radius in the game, essentially, of any production gun, longer than any 2011, even a 6-inch 2011 pistol. So advantages are, you've got that long sight radius, which gives you more precision, while that front sight's wobbling in the rear, within the rear notch. It's wobbling with less of an angle, so you got more precision with that longer sight radius. The longer barrel gives you more velocity, which allows you to load a little bit less powder to get to that major power factor. And
heavier slide. And gross heavier gun. Yeah.
And the downside of that was a heavier slide.
Yeah. There are a couple advantages to going to this option. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking a $350 to $400 law enforcement trade-in Glock 22 and turning it into a $600 some odd Glock 24 for about $150 in parts.
Sure.
Except that with this, we overcome some of the deficits of the 24.
Right.
The deficits should be in quotes because this is really stylistic. This isn't really wrong with the gun. It's just what you like or don't like.
Exactly.
A lot of the top competitors, guys like Bob Vogel, Terry Butler when he was running them, and those guys, when they were running 24s, one of the first things they did was start drilling holes in them and cutting the chin off and doing this kind of thing in order to lighten them up a little bit.
Right.
Because back in the days of 175 power factor, the 24 was like just about perfect. But now that we've backed off to 165 power factor, it's kind of slow.
It is, yeah, it is.
And this approximates the weight of the 35,
right?
But it has the sight radius of the 24,
right? And
on top of that,
almost the barrel length of the 24, within 12 thousandths or something, right? So,
but the other item is that the front sight doesn't move.
Right.
The total sight movement is that much.
Yep.
It's hard to see that in video, I realize. But
less than a quarter inch.
The sight only moves that much.
Eighth of an
instead
inch.
Instead of that much.
Basically, the distance it takes the barrel to unlock, it's about an eighth of an inch.
Does, yeah.
A little bit more than an eighth of an inch. That's it.
And when you shoot it, visually, it's a little more apparent. It's a little more obvious in front of your sights. I've been playing with both styles. And in a standard gun, when you fire the gun, the barrel rises, and then the front sight buries itself in the blur and mass of the gun in recoil.
Right.
This one, the front sight comes up and stays there.
Right.
So the sight's moving. Oh, excuse me, the slide is moving.
The slide's moving.
But your front sight posts up and stays there, and then slaps back down again. So it's a little easier to track it in recoil.
Yeah.
Than a conventionally sighted gun.
I could see the advantages of that.
And one of the other things is the guys that run fiber optic fronts a lot. This is a stock one I throw on here just for to show. But if you're running a fiber front and you take a fiber and you do this, 20,000 times a year, eventually your piece of fiber is going to part company with the gun.
It could, yeah. Especially if it's not installed properly.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the guys that talk about fibers. They always have an extra one in the bag for when it falls out.
I keep a few feet of it in my bag. But
yeah. Well, the nice part about going to a system like this is now all of a sudden your sight only moves this much.
Right.
All this violence is happening behind the muzzle.
It's not happening to your sight.
It's not happening to your sight.
Your front sight's not experiencing the violence of all the G's.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still got some G's going on, but it isn't getting flogged quite
as bad. Of course, yeah.
So
I dig it.
Anyway,
I like it. I mean,
I'm even shooting lead bullets out of it just because I can.
Oh, yeah.
You can't shoot lead out of a Glock, but you can shoot lead out of a Lone Wolf or a KKM or whoever's barrel.
For sure. So yeah, I mean, so to summarize, you've got the sight radius of the Glock 24.
Yep.
You're within 10,000ths of the barrel length of the Glock 24, so that gives you the velocity that you need. You've got the lighter slide weight of the Glock 22, which, like you said, I mean, the Glock 24 being heavier, that's actually why I sold mine. I had my Glock 24, I had my Glock 35, and we had a Pro-Am match that we featured on the show, and I shot both guns. I shot the early match. They had a limited match and then an open match. So I said, well, I'll shoot the limited match with my Glock 24 because that's my primary gun and I love it so much. But then I shot the open match with my iron-sighted normal Glock 35 that I always shoot as a test, because I wanted to shoot the match twice because it's just a hoot, Yeah. But as a test, which gun do I shoot better? And I really felt like I shot my Glock 35 better.
Yep.
Even though the Glock 24 was cooler and more exotic and harder to come by and all that stuff, Once I got the numbers on paper and I said, yeah, for sure, what I'm feeling is correct. I do shoot the 35 better. I sold the Glock 24. I wish I wouldn't have. I wish I had the Glock 24 still and I could cut some holes in it like you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's what people would do to get that slide weight down. And it really, you need to lose a couple of ounces, I think.
Yeah.
And this achieves all those things with, you don't need to send it off to a gunsmith. You don't have to have any, super high dollar modifications done. This is all...
This is garage gunsmithing, man.
This is just, you buy parts and you drop, it's all drop in. So
for the sake of the show, last night I sat down with the milling machine and I took a second, and I cut it up to show what it would look like once it's been ported onto a 35. And we're going to get around to that one. We just started with the Glock 22 Ling.
Yep.
But that's what it looks like stuck onto a 35. It's that much longer than a 35 would be, and now your front sight is out here, so it's completely static, and it doesn't, not completely static. It moves 1/4 of an inch instead of 1.5 inches.
Sure.
So anyway, look for that sometime soon.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, and so to discuss other things as well. This takes a standard Glock front sight, right? So you don't need anything special. Just take your standard Glock front sight, move it over here to the block, and it bolts on from underneath just like your regular Glock sight. What else do we need to know? It does have a set screw. Robin thought about a set screw, so you put. Does the end user need to drill a small divot into the barrel? Nope. Does this go in?
The Lone Wolf barrels, as they ship, come with a little flat because these are intended for use with suppressors.
Okay.
So they've got a little flat already milled into the threads, so that your set screw engages that flat.
So you include this set screw, which is an Allen head, right? Yep. And so you crank down on that, and that's so you don't want this block clocking like this, which this one doesn't have the set screw.
You have to pay attention to it. It will do that. Yeah, there's blue Loctite involved here to keep things straight.
So yeah, you don't want this thing clocking on you, but that should cut down on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as guide rods go, we were discussing this before we started recording. You need to use a standard length guide rod. The extended length guide rods that extend out when the slide recoils and the barrel recoils with the slide for that first 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, somewhere in there. An extended guide rod like I have, and this is my slide and my guide rod, will bonk up against this and it won't function.
Yeah,
so
there's aluminum to support this. Yeah, there's aluminum to support the set screw and the guide rod will hammer in.
So you do need to use a standard length guide rod. So
yep.
Other than that, cool idea. I like it. I dig it.
Yeah.
And I want to try it. What else you got to
we got lots of little things going
discuss
on.
here?
I'm excited about the U.S. making its run at the World Shoot.
Right. So the World Shoot, if you guys don't know, is IPSC, which is the world body of it's International Practical Shooting Confederation. The USPSA is the U.S. Region. Thank you. I was looking for the right word. So we are the U.S. region of IPSC. There is no individual members of IPSC. You are a member of your country's organization. And so here in the U.S., we're USPSA. We have our own rule book, and the IPSC rule book pretty much governs the rest of the world. I don't know. I mean, other countries have certain laws that they have to have special rules because laws differ in each of the countries. But I mean, we're talking worldwide. The sport is worldwide, and the World Shoot comes around every 3 years. This year it's in the U.S. How long has it been since it's been in the U.S.?
A long time.
It's been, I don't know, it's been a long, it's never been in the U.S.
Years?
Yeah, it's never been in the U.S. since I've been around in the last 12 years. I know that. I mean, it's been in Greece, it's been in
Bali, Indonesia,
Ecuador. Yeah, Ecuador. So this year it's coming to Florida. It's roughly September, October.
I don't have the
something like that. It's later this year. The U.S. and every country picks their best shooters to represent their country, and they're all on teams. And so anyway, what do you got for?
I know I can't contribute to the U.S. team in any significant way. I'm a small business. I can't do that. But I ran into JJ Rakaza at the SHOT Show, and JJ and I go way back. He picked up the nickname the Razor from me back when I was working from USPSA.
Okay.
Yeah. And JJ shoots for Caracal.
Right.
Nobody in the United States uses a Caracal at the moment because of the recall issues.
Yeah. If you guys never heard of Caracal, if you guys haven't heard of Caracal, it's a pistol that came out, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, thereabouts. It's a polymer frame, striker fire pistol, a really low bore axis. It's a little funny looking, but everything kind of is if it's not a Glock to me anyway. But really low bore axis. JJ Rakaza is the team captain, or shoots for Caracal to represent them. But they had, I don't know what the problem was.
Yeah, I don't know. They had a major recall.
I can't even comment about what the issue was, but basically they had a major recall. They recalled every gun that they ever put out. I think they refunded money because they didn't have any good plans to replace them within a timely fashion.
Anyway, make a long story short, JJ's got one of the only Caracals in the country.
Yep.
There are no accessories for the Caracal. And like all IPSC shooters, we want to play with things. This is a stock Caracal magazine. Like most guns, it's got a steeply angled floor plate and a hook on the end. Why gun designers are so obsessed with putting hooks on the end of magazines, I don't know.
I mean, it's just to fill that gap and fit.
And it works. I mean, I shouldn't be too hard on the Caracal guys. That's really a stylistic choice.
No, everybody does. I mean, you've got XDs do that, don't they? For sure, the Smith & Wesson MMPs do that.
But it's not my intention to beat up on the guys at Caracal. I mean,
No,
this
exactly.
is something
that is a common magazine floor plate design.
Yeah. And when you're speed reloading this design, it's possible if you bump the gun wrong, now you've got this sharply angled piece will go squirting out off your palm. IPSC shooters know that, and that's why most of the designs you see for IPSC stuff are square.
And the other problem with that is you go for your reload and you grab one magazine, but your finger hooks the one behind it, and now you've just dropped one on the ground. And if you're shooting 10-round production mags, you can't afford to be losing magazines out of your pouches usually. So
I got to talking with JJ at SHOT Show, and as part of my effort, I told him I would make him some base pads with the Caracal. So there it is. We now make that weighs about 9/10 of an ounce. It's IPSC, IDPA, and USPSA legal.
Okay.
Squares off the angle like I was talking about.
Right.
And it's in bright Caracal orange to match his uniforms and match
cool.
their stuff.
Yeah, I forgot that is their color. Good deal.
Yeah. That took about a month to get the color.
Huh.
The base pad wasn't too bad.
Is it an anodized? Is it powder coat?
That's Cerakote.
It's Cerakote. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good deal.
So, and I bring that out partly to say, go JJ, go Team USA.
Definitely.
And the other part is we started doing custom colors for various parts of our base pads.
Cool.
That is Coyote, which done at the behest of the Border Patrol Tactical Operations Unit in San Antonio.
Good.
That's Caracal orange. You know, we can do various things like that, and now we can do them in fairly small quantities. So if you decide you need something in bright red or purple or whatever, give us a call. We can do it for $30-40 on a set.
Right on. Good deal. What else you got to show off here?
So that shipped earlier this week.
Good. So JJ's got.
JJ's going to have a stack for a world shoot.
How many of those? 10 of those mags?
He'll have about 10 for a world shoot. Yeah.
Okay.
Other things, as you know, as we talked about in the last show, we do base pads for the HKP30L. Excuse me. Which I discovered recently, to my great satisfaction, is the same magazine that goes into the VP9S, I think it is. Anyway, the brand new descendant of the VP70Z.
Yeah.
And it apparently has a very similar frame style, uses the same magazines, but it's striker fired. So that adds 5 rounds to either a 9mm or a 40 Smith & Wesson HKP30.
Adds how many?
5.
Adds 5. Okay, cool.
So that means 13 and 5 or 15 and 5 for the 9mm. In our experience with the guys at Bortac, we took this base pad and we've upgraded it since I talked to you last. Mm-hmm. When I was in here last, we had an aluminum floor plate that was about 50 thousandths thick that we hollow ground to make fit up inside the frame of the P30.
Okay, right.
So
yep. The outside was hollow ground like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So rather than take a piece of aluminum and make that dish into it, which worked but weakens it a little bit.
Okay.
We went with half the thickness in stainless steel.
Oh, okay.
So now all of our HKP30 stuff have what I call the law enforcement locking system on it. Mm-hmm. So it's a stainless steel locking plate, and the screws have nylon patch on them, so they don't come out in vibration. You got to want to take these out.
Okay.
And
cool.
With that stainless steel plate on there, it's simpler and stronger, and everybody's happier.
Okay.
So yeah.
Good upgrade.
So all you HK guys who got those, the HK community has actually responded really well. So this week we're exploring making a base pad for the HK45.
All right.
We built one for the HK USP45 compact some years ago for the guys at survivalblog.com. And so this one is an IPSC-oriented version, or 3-gun-oriented version.
Yeah.
That's a prototype that I only printed yesterday. It's brand new. And that
prototype 3D printed.
Prototype 3D printed.
You saw it here first.
Pretty much, yep. So this one is a 2-round extension. The one we did for the Survival Blog guys was a 4-round extension, but this one is legal for USPSA or 3-gun nation.
USPSA limited.
Right.
So
USPSA limited or 3-gun
140, 141 millimeter.
I haven't quite decided whether we're going to go with the +2 or the +4. Mm-hmm. HK guys, if you have an opinion, let me know,
there you go.
I'm not quite sure which way to go with that.
Right.
But I do know I'm getting mail from HK45 owners.
Okay. And this goes to which gun?
HK45, which looks like a P30.
Which is a USP or?
Not a USP. It's essentially called an HK45.
Okay. Not as familiar with
and the other gun it will
lineup.
fit on is the HK USP45 compact.
Okay.
Uses the same magazine.
Okay.
The mags and the model numbers on the HKs are a little opaque for those of us that aren't HK people.
Right. Yeah. True.
And that's what this was originally designed to go on, was that HK45 USB compact.
Gotcha.
Excuse me.
Trying to follow along.
So anyway, guys, HK guys, give me a call.
There you go.
With that, I told you last time we were down, we were working on a magwell for the
Yes.
HK P30.
Yeah.
So there it is. That's
a
the 3D printed version.
Prototype, 3D printed HK P30 magwell. There you go.
That exists right now as what I call a beta part. That's the more production version. Oop, wait, I gotta get close so you can see it. There we go. That's the more production looking version. It is black, so it matches the gun. And in a matter of a few weeks, we're gonna have it. It's gonna go from being a plastic part to a stainless bronze matrix part, thanks to some friends of ours with really, really expensive printers in Northwest Washington.
So that is 3D printed metal.
That's actually a 3D printed stainless bronze matrix part.
Now, is that the final product? The final product going? No, not that one in particular. But is the final product going to be 3D printed?
Yeah,
it is. Okay.
It's not machinable. The only reason it's going to that process is there are curves on the HK and whatnot that make this. It's not possible to machine a magwell to go on there.
Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And this you said is a matrix?
It's stainless bronze matrix. What happens is
if you were to cut this open, you'd see some holes in there.
No. You're looking at it right now.
Oh,
you can see on the top. That's been machined away to fit.
Okay.
This one didn't quite make it. That's why it's in my bag and not up there.
Yeah.
How their system works is it lays stainless steel and a binder.
Okay.
So printer head comes by, back and forth, and it lays a layer of stainless powder with a binder, and then it just lays more powder out to the side with no binder. It keeps going and going, building layers until you get eventually a bread box full of this stainless steel powder. Some of it's glued together, some of it's not. Take that out, you end up with blobs of glued powder, basically.
Okay.
That goes into an oven.
Right.
They cook off the binder, which gives you now a stainless steel sponge, essentially.
Okay.
Because where the binder was, there's no stainless.
Now there's holes in there, right? Some voids.
So those voids, you can't. You can now grab that piece of stainless steel and try really hard, and it'll probably break in your hand. So you set that into another oven, and they expose it to molten bronze, which wicks up into all the spaces in the stainless steel matrix.
Interesting.
And you end up with that.
Cool.
Which machines like bronze is more durable than bronze. You have some of the characteristics of both materials.
Yeah, it's not super heavy, but there's a little weight to it.
Right. Halfway, it's like half and half.
Sure.
So you end up with you end up with most of the weight of brass, but with the durability of the stainless.
And then what about finishing? Is it just going to be Cerakoted?
Yeah, it'll be Cerakoted when I'm done.
Cool.
Sandblasted. There'll be various third actions that'll happen to it before it becomes a final part.
Very cool. Cool technology.
But I'm really excited about that one when it comes out.
Wow.
So there's a nod to Aaron Cepeda and all the various guys that shoot HKs real seriously. They've been bugging me to try and get that out.
There you go.
So
nice.
Jason Kuhn and all the HK guys are real excited about it.
Right. So. Cool. So what else you got? Is this about it?
I think that's most of it.
Well,
we talked about those, talked about that, talked about that.
This one here, I'm most excited about this one right here. I mean, I really, really am. This is cool. I'm going to try this at my next match if you don't mind.
Yeah. You go, brother.
Get back to the Glock 24 length, back to the Glock 24 velocity, but yet none of the mass. Yep. Get the mass down. I like it. It's cool. Very good. Well, thanks for Robin. Thanks for coming out.
Man. And, thanks for having me on.
And thanks for telling our viewers about your latest products. If you guys have any requests, I mean, there's a lot of companies that make magwells and base pads and stuff, but like you said, I mean, like Border Patrol came to you because you can do fast prototyping and small quantity. You don't have to make 10,000 in order to make it profitable. It's willing to make hundreds, not thousands. Right.
That's the mode I'm in.
Yeah. So get a hold of Robin Taylor website.
www.taylorfreelance.com.
Taylorfreelance.com. And thanks, guys, for watching. And if you have any questions for us, you have any questions for Robin, go ahead and send us those questions at our email account, powerfactorshow@gmail.com. Check out our website, powerfactorshow.com. And like us on Facebook, facebook.com/powerfactorshow. You're on Facebook as well?
Only as myself. I don't
Okay.
actually have a corporate.
All right, so head over to taylorfreelance.com if you want to check out their products, and write into Robin if you have any requests for prototype products. You might actually get that magwell you've always been wanting for that that unusual pistol you might have. So, all right, thanks a lot. See you next week.
Okay, see you. Hey, Power Factor fans, they've asked me to come up with a trivia question for you. So here we go. What was the original Wonder 9? The original no-hammer, striker-fired, plastic 9mm that held a crazy amount of bullets? What gun was that? If you know what it is, send your answers to powerfactorshow@gmail.com.